The second leg of the UEFA Champions League 2018, the match between Real Madrid and Bayern Munich. Real Madrid cruised to the final of the 2018 campaign, but definitely the night belonged to Bayern Munich and has entirely defined a truly amazing, fascinating, intense and complicated story, as Bayern Munich should have just regretted for the chances they missed. It was a very appealing period to the match that how Bayern Munich will set up the attacking formation in absence of the Arjen Robben, and the fact they came to the game able to impose their attacking movement, the line of trio midfield with ability to control and dictate the pace of the game in the mold of the Thiago Alcantara and Talisio, switching the mobility of the ball and transition of the passes in the midfield in front of their defense, while James Rodriguez deployed into central attacking playmaker role and really provided balance and that vital tempo for Bayern Munich's movements to go forward. The ability of Bayern Munich really from the beginning is just push Real Madrid all the way deep into their defensive half, as Zinedine Zidane's team were truly underestimated and lacked entirely a simple form of the rhythm against this Bayern Munich team. Joshua Kimmich scored inside of the 2 minutes of the Sergio Ramos mistake, but eventually once again Bayern Munich, when they have the momentum and when they surprisingly control the entire game and possession of the ball, they consider on a counter-attack when Karim Benzema scored off the Marcelo's beautiful cross. That only moment of the turnover and game-changing scenario once again kept Real Madrid slimly into the chance, while they were completely outplayed by Bayern Munich. Throughout the whole concept of this possession counter-attack scenario, Bayern Munich really had so many chances to put the game away. Robert Lewandowski twice were step one-on-one with Keylor Navas, but both times, on both occasions, he failed to convert his chances when he perfectly set up by Thiago Alcantara and Frank Ribery on the route of the combination movements and slice defense spreading passes from deep. Also, Thomas Müller missed another chance when he was perfectly set up by Frank Ribery after the French midfielder burst forward through a dazzling run, and his neat technical ability and slick combination with Alaba exploited Real Madrid's backline. But when he supported and tried to give that ball to Robert Lewandowski, he failed to hooked up with Thomas Müller, and when the German striker hooked the ball to his path under pressure, turned nicely, but his shot was weak. Real Madrid was completely outplayed. The midfield had been truly destroyed by Bayern Munich's patient passing movement, their consistent off-the-ball mobility and change of position, while they maintained the pressing inside their own defensive half, and truly their constant change of position and rotating off-the-ball movements and sustaining the build-up passing into the midfield in the second wave of passing build-up and open game really kept Real Madrid high press and their attempted intense game at bay, and really disregard all of those Real Madrid's ideas. Toni Kroos and Luka Modric partnership were completely outplayed and destroyed from not only linking simple passes but also to interacting the game of the transition between midfield to attack, and they were surely dropped too deep and isolated from their backline, while Kovacic was just chasing the central positions alone. Well, he was completely out of position, often with James Rodriguez and Thiago Alcantara providing constant need-changing passing movement, short exchange, and need to link up to control the position and sustain the rhythm of the play across the midfield, and especially in the central area, which ignited the vital space and energy for their wingbacks to go forward and create many chances of overlap and sending crosses. The result was first half was just kept the game at level, and in the second half, exactly right into the first minute, it was just what Real Madrid was gifted in terms of having opportunity to not only finish the game, but it truly has gifted magic that Bayern Munich gave it to them. Horrible performance and poor clearance by Ulrich when he attempted to connect and clear Talisi's back pass, and the ball just horribly and ridiculously fell under his body and just left Karim Benzema with the open net, and he scored that. But it was just a matter of the vital game-changing scenario and the glimpse of the magical shore of the sheer spirit, luck, and definitely psychological momentum that Real Madrid really needed while they were completely outplayed and against the run of the game, and in the biggest contradiction of the tactical deployment that any big game have ever could have basically highlighted in this major championship. Two teams with two different styles, two different perspective and intention, really shown to play a completely open, intense and great football. However, Real Madrid possibly have played their worst and most awful European Championship match against Bayern Munich at home. Eventually, James Rodriguez managed to tie the game once again through their ambitious combination play and high change of attacking tempo when they spark many overlap and continuously maintain the short passing play into the midfield, opening position and generating more link-up play with mobility of the midfield and attackers to press Real Madrid into defensive half. And finally, Thomas Muller's combination with Matt Hummels on the right-hand side allowed the fullback to cross a nice ball that centered into the side of the box with James Rodriguez first attempted to shoot the ball with his left foot, which deflected off the Real Madrid defender, but on the blink of eye, it just find a gap behind the Madrid's weak and confused backline and allow James Rodriguez to quickly charge into the rebound and finding position into the pass and finish a nice ball with his right foot. But at the end, the constant change of attacking tempo, the sustainable possession needs short interchanges and off-the-ball mobility and strength of Bayern Munich players to break Real Madrid's midfield, split their pressing task. Really, at the end, did not seem to offer them that vital penetration to seal that inspirational victory as they expected. Twice in the remaining 50 minutes, Robert Lewandowski and Thiago Alcantara had a chance when the first time the Polish striker rose high to glance a beautiful header of a nice combination that turned out to be a cross provided by David Alaba, but Keylor Navas dived to his left and controlled the ball, and the Costa Rican goalkeeper has certainly produced the most inspirational reflection and save of the day when he dived to his right brilliantly to save Thiago Alcantara's perfectly half volley shot that was the snatch despite the tremendous pressure of the Real Madrid and in a spur of the tight space and despite of the tackles inside of the box that seemed to have the opportunity for Bayern Munich to lead and win the game. However, that was just turned out to be the final moment, as Bavarians have left the game with so much regret once again, not only in witnessing how their chances were just thrown away, that was resulted by their own mistakes, but also they were more regret for really lacking that fraction short of the penetration to sum up their beautiful, entertaining and productive possession game that should have just earned them the victory and a passage to the final, possibly their best performance in the entire campaign. Not only they had improved their defensive performance since first leg, they also managed to control and dictate the pace of the game off the ball and keep Real Madrid high pressing and midfield completely out of the game, while they managed to entirely pushing high into the pitch with more comfort zone and sustainable passing rhythm. However, the lack of edge of penetration in the final box and the finishing particularly, that was blamed and should have been critically pointed to Robert Lewandowski's neglect finishing, and of course some lack of crafty defensive splitting play when they needed to break that Real Madrid's intense, organized, and very let's just say brutal defensive performance kept Bayern Munich out of the game. And on the night that Real Madrid should have totally eliminated with the worst performance ever, and when they had lack of tactical strategy, that sustainable collectivism of purpose, and on the night that Ronaldo and Karim Benzema were totally disappeared and their midfield being destroyed, only they carry on a simple and a visible sense of attacking tempo that was constantly ignited by Marco Asensio and a little bit by Marcelo on the left-hand side. They managed not only to keep their teams alive, but also to keep their pressing at their best and minimum. They managed to secure that tie that had to be beyond their imagination, with Bayern Munich sheer attacking play slowly and gradually has dismantled Real Madrid's psychological momentum in a surprising fashion. However, the result just remained as a dream for Real Madrid, and they just managed to achieve the success and navigated their third consecutive European final. And Bayern Munich has to say goodbye, and possibly they need to reconsider an immediate change of squad overhaul, and possibly making changes towards redeveloping collectivism and tactical strategy to rejuvenate their squad, while many of the experienced players are on the verge of finishing their career. And definitely the immediate need to rebuild the team towards creating an inspirational transition seems to be a very, very essential factor for Bayern Munich and Real Madrid, perhaps with this defensive performance. And while they have been exploited so many times and struggle to contain with regular momentum of the game on over course of 2 legs, and of course the one that has also reminded their weaknesses briefly when the same scenario happened in the second leg of the quarterfinal, Juventus certainly are afraid to face Liverpool in the final, and perhaps might be the end of their Real Madrid glorious story in Europe and start a tough time and the post-era of their European achievements now will be falling into more problematic and critical time.